Greetings, my FNAF fanatics, and welcome to the channel. Today I will be addressing and theorizing on what possibly happened to Garrett in the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. Now, before I get started, please be sure to grab your favorite Fizzy Fazz and a bucket of Michael's buttered popcorn, leave a like and subscribe, and let's get started. So, to begin, I want to address who I think Garrett is, and personally, I think he is, in fact, the crying child. Now, you may be wondering, why and how? Well, I think it's pretty interesting how a guy named Mike, the Foxy Bro in the games, has a little brother with a striped shirt named Garrett. You may be wondering, when was he wearing this shirt? Well, there is a scene when Mike wakes up in the beginning of the film where on the dresser of Mike you can see a family photo of Garrett wearing a black and white striped shirt. Now, concluding that this is the crying child, considering the last video, if you haven't seen it, go check it out. It was on what his identity is, but this time I'm going to theorize on what happened to him during the kidnapping and what became of him. So let's get started. So I know a few people are skeptical about Garrett crying child, but if you're still iffy on Garrett being the crying child, his whole purpose is to be Mike's younger brother that dies, gets kidnapped, and leads Mike into a huge fit of depression, rage, guilt like Michael Afton from the games. It drives Mike to do what he does. He even has the plushie in these images. So, to get started on our discovery of decoding Garrett, we need to start with what the film and the book says about him. Well, we know that in the FNAF movie novel, it says,
Is my brother one of them? In the machines?
No. Garrett was before Freddy's.
Garrett supposedly dies before Freddy's according to Vanessa in the novel. So, this either means that he died at Fredbear's or he wasn't killed at a Freddy's location. But the way she implies it seems to be that no, he doesn't possess anyone, which goes against Garrett Puppet. Sorry guys. However, this may work in favor of Shadow Victim if he did in fact die before Freddy's. As we know, there was supposed to be a deleted scene where Garrett leads Mike in the archway towards Afton. Even though it's deleted, it still made it that far into the film. However, there's more to go with this because on Twitter and the official FNAF account, Script 3 shows a Shadow Victim. And it says,
Why would somebody write something like that for little kids?
You remember how the little boy in it has all these plushies he loves? But then he gets sick with one of those diseases kids don't get much anymore?
Yeah, he gets scarlet fever.
Yeah, he's so sick he might die. And he's contagious, and so is everything he's touched. So they have to burn all his plushies because they're dangerous?
Yeah, I remember the story. What are you saying, Abs?
I'm saying these plushies are dangerous too. Somebody should burn them. Hello?
Hey, are you working tonight?
No,
Then I'll be over in half an hour. Wear dark clothing. We've got a job to do.
in the film, Mike says,
I can't explain it, but when I'm here, I feel closer to Garrett.
so I'm sorry, Garrett Puppeteers, but if he's the puppet, why isn't the puppet in this location if his ghost is there? I want to go back to why Garrett was kidnapped, though, and how he was kidnapped. Well, I believe it was a planned out attack by Afton himself, having to travel to Nebraska to kidnap him. As said in my Mike Afton video, I think he's an affair child, based off a line from the novel, a smiling dark-haired man who looks like a version of older Garrett. Notice how they never included Mike in that sentence, just Garrett. Also, the dad's actor's name is Garrett Hines, which I thought was very funny to me considering William kidnaps Garrett. Now, how was Garrett kidnapped? Well, I'm about to shed light on a beautiful theory I made called plane theory. I believe Afton took a plane down to Nebraska and rented or stole a car based on Garrett flying his plane before he was kidnapped and Afton pulling up to snatch him. Now, why do I say plane? Well, the plane imagery and more with Afton pulling up to snatch him, another interesting thing that he keeps Garrett's plane and he gives it to Vanessa like a prize or trophy of his victim. It was that important to him. So there has to be more to this, and I think it's the affair and divorce of William and Mike's mom, where she took Mike, and so William struck back and took Garrett from the Schmidt family. So, if Garrett is dead and is in the pizzeria, where is he? Well, I believe he may actually be shattered in the film universe as well and is possessing the pizzeria in a hole like Shatter Victim. So, I want to go back to Spirit Garrett. We know that in the film, Abby is talking to an imaginary friend who a lot of people have brushed aside and thought it was nothing. But what interests me is it happens before Freddy's. I believe this imaginary friend is Garrett. Something to go with Garrett being shattered and possessing the pizzeria in the film, like Xantorm said in the last video, is when Mike opens a locker, he is jumped by Balloon Boy, and in FNAF 4, Mike jump scares Bite Victim. Could Garrett be moving Balloon Boy around to scare Mike? I thought this was really funny, but now let me explain how this works. So, how would Garrett be shattered if his origin story didn't play out exactly like FNAF 4's Bite? Well, even without the bite, this still works. Let me remind you what happened to Garrett in the film. He was kidnapped. What does Afton sometimes do to kidnap children? If you read Didophobia, you will know. Experiments. So under an idea that Garrett was killed and kidnapped, and that he was experimented on, it's really starting to click, isn't it? William experimenting on this child, causing his agony to affect and spread on the plushies, making Shatter Victim in the film still possible. You may be wondering where the plushies came into play. Well, the actor Lucas Grant was supposed to have a Fredbear plushie, and yes, I know it's not in the film, but it was supposed to be. I believe Garrett might have been an experiment victim, especially considering the recent Tales of the Pizzaplex book with the story Didophobia. Basically, I think he was shattered and wasn't a fair child and is the crying child. I think it's possible he could be connected to movie Golden Freddy somehow under Shatter Garrett, but that's a whole new different can of worms that I explained in my last video. All in all, I would call this more of a prediction than a theory due to a lack of evidence with the experiments. More of a fun idea that I feel the film's route could go. But with that being said, I hope you all have a fabulous day. Bye bye!